Welcome to my channel. My name is Swish. Let's pick right back up where we left off and take a look at the Chaos Renegades team for Blood Bowl Season 3. Right off the bat, there's not a ton of changes from the previous edition, but certainly a few notable ones. One key thing I want to point out is that this team is a mismatch of a bunch of other teams, including humans, orcs, Skaven, Dark Elves, and Chaos Chosen. All of those teams saw changes to their roster, but for some reason, some of those changes didn't make it to the Renegades team. Things like the sweeping increase to the passing stats and the strength access on primary for the orc linemen. The special rules effectively didn't change, only the separation of the favorite of ability to the new Chaos Clash League. Taking a look at the standard human linemen, they were upgraded from 0 to 12 to 0 to 16. This seems like a common way to determine where you can pull your journeyman from, as there are technically 4 other types of linemen on this roster. They also gained animosity, where previously they were more able to hand the ball over. Now they're a little bit more stingy. Lastly, they also gained devious skills as a primary, which seems to be common across all the bad guy teams. The human thrower did receive an upgrade, trading safe pair of hands for sure hands. While the names of these two skills do sound similar, they're actually quite different, and sure hands is a welcome addition on a team that has 70k rerolls. I think in the second season, you'd rarely see the thrower taken to save on points, choosing to move the ball with the Dark Elf or maybe the Goblin instead. And I think that there's a case here now to take the thrower, as he's equally as good at picking up the ball, even if you're not likely to make use of the pass skill. He also gets access to devious skills, but I don't know exactly what devious skill you'd be wanting to give him. The Renegade, Goblin, Orc, and Skaven only really received devious skills as a primary and are otherwise unchanged. Similarly, the Dark Elf gets devious skills, but you also get a 10k discount on him, bringing the elf in line with his parent team. Similarly, the big guys also changed little, with the Troll gaining passing access and the Minotaur and Rat Ogre gaining a 6+ passing stat. As I've mentioned in previous reviews, I'm not sure how many skills in the passing tree affect the throw teammate ability, so access to this tree may or may not be useful. As one of the longest rosters to go over, the primary gimmick of this team is that you get to have one of each lineman from a variety of teams in the evil category. This has some effect on the team's playability. One player's fast, one player's tough, one is small, one is agile, and a bunch are just general. It's also a team that lets you take a front wall of big guys. Normally teams that take more than one big guy are populated with stunties, but the Renegades can take 3 from a list of 4 different monsters. Starting at the top, you get human linemen as your basic players. They have average stats, no skills, but access to a variety of abilities including mutations and devious skills. Renegade humans are a fantastic blank slate. You'll likely be farming MVPs on other players, so a good option is to randomize skills on them, and any primary access category is fine here, though if I could choose a skill, block is the obvious choice. I mentioned earlier that the thrower was frequently omitted from rosters due to his high cost and mediocre skills. Adding sure hands makes this player more attractive to take, since you're normally going to end up blowing through your limited rerolls, as your team has few built-in rerolls and no starting combat skills like block to prevent turnovers. I wouldn't consider using him as a real thrower, however. While there's going to be a few desperate times when you have to throw the ball, animosity and a lack of good catchers on the team is going to make it a bit risky. Instead, I'd build him towards just retrieving the ball. Skills like on the ball, extra arms, and big hands would all be good skills for this role. Or you could just do the boring thing and take block. There's almost nothing wrong with that. The Renegade Goblin lets you combine a unique set of mutations with Stunty to create a real nuisance. 2 heads on a Goblin means that you're going to be dodging into any square on a 2+ regardless of tackle zones. Extra arms lets the Goblin pick up or catch on a tour better. Your opponent's definitely not going to get tired of it and prioritize blitzing the little bastard into an early grave. The Orc's main job is to sit on the line and get punched, so skills that help him survive punching are a priority. Block, of course, but maybe tackle to prevent players from slipping past him, and honestly, somebody on the team should have tackle. Maybe a combination of steady footing and foul appearance would be a fun combo, but that kind of sounds like wishful thinking. The Skaven is fast, and it's not unreasonable to play into that speed. Sprint and sure feet support the speed aspect, but really block should be his first skill. It's strange how a bottom line player on one team can be the star player on another. The Dark Elf's agility makes him uniquely the best player on the team for a lot of reasons. He's the most reliable at receiving and retrieving the ball, not to mention dodging. He's also got the coveted general and agility access, allowing for block and dodge to be his first two skills. The 4 available big guys are another consideration since you have to leave one off the roster, likely permanently. The logical choice here is to take the Minotaur and the Rat Ogre as they're the most expensive and likely the best of the 4. This is probably going to be a controversial opinion, but I don't think you can actually take both at the same time. Unchanneled Fury and Animal Savagery both work on the premise that they need to be blocking or blitzing to work, and frequently in order to move the player reliably, you're going to need to be blitzing. Since you can only blitz once per turn, you're often stuck using one player while the other one stands around. They're both oddly squishy for a big guy at 9+ AV, though the Thick Skull and the Mino does keep it on the field slightly longer. Conversely, the Troll is the worst of the 4, but he's also the cheapest, letting you take all of your other positional players and have room for multiple rerolls. Really Stupid needs a non-really stupid player adjacent to him to act, and in a pinch, the Ogre actually counts, letting the Troll borrow in the superior intelligence of the Ogre. It also gives you a second big guy to throw the Goblin with, and a big guy with passing access for what it's worth. To that end, I'd recommend either the Minotaur or the Rat Ogre, not both, but if I had to pick, I'd probably go with the Minotaur. I could see going either way though. I would really just pick your favorite, or honestly, whichever one you have a model for. Either way, I'd skill them up identically, first with Juggernaut and then with Break Tackle, and then finally Claws as maybe a secondary. For the Troll and the Ogre, I'd give them Brawler first and then Guard. If you're lucky enough to score a pile of star player points, I would give them either Block or Claws as well. My starting roster for a league would look something like this. I'd have 3 Renegade Human Linemen, the Thrower, the Orc, the Skaven, the Dark Elf, and the Goblin. For my big guys, I'd go with the Troll, the Ogre, and the Minotaur for the classic trio, 2 rerolls, and 3 dedicated fans, bringing me up to a total of 985k. This is going to let me bank 15k towards an Apothecary after my first game. Note here is that if you dropped the Troll for the Rat Ogre, even with dropping the 10k and extra dedicated fans, it would still put you at 1,010,000, forcing you to drop a player to make up the difference, probably the Thrower in this case, downgrading him to a Human Lineman. You could, however, drop the Ogre for the Rat Ogre, but as the most reliable option, I think you'll kind of curse that decision every time you fail an Animal Savagery roll. And that's my take on the Chaos Renegades team. One thing I didn't really mention, since it doesn't affect how the team plays, is how much fun it is to model up a Renegade team. Pulling miniatures from a bunch of different ranges, it makes for a really unique looking team. I'm going to show a slideshow here of some of my personal Renegades team. I finished building this team earlier this year, and with the exception of a couple of the big guys which I got from Punga Miniatures, every model in this team is kit bashed in some way and easily is my favorite team that I've painted. Sadly, their win record was not as much fun. Next time, we're going to talk about the new Dark Elf team. Until then, Nuffle's blessings.